Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Find somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live. Somebody, let's go.
Good evening. Good morning and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Woo! We got things to talk about. We got some things to talk about. Hope this show finds you in good spirits because another day above the dirt is always a blessing. Let's not forget that. We got some work to do, guys. We got some things to talk about because I'm going to be real. I'm just going to be real. Ish is getting weird. Ish is definitely getting weird. I'll explain in a little bit. I mean, you clearly, if you don't see it in the title above or down below, wherever you're watching this show, then I don't know what to tell you. But one thing's for sure, Ish is getting weird. And now I'm side-eyeing people that I shouldn't even have to side-eye. You feel me? We shouldn't be side-eyeing people. We shouldn't be. But things are getting weird. Yeah. And we got some major breaking news. So we are going to get into that conversation as well. Like I said, you know, these shows, these night shows have been very shorter than the day shows. Today, this today in general, you know, has just been short because it's just been a busy day. But tomorrow, there will be a much bigger and much longer show. Tomorrow, for sure, during the day, because I know the nighttime is not the right time for a lot of people, but you know, a lot of things are happening during the day. We will be doing an epically long show tomorrow. All right? I know you dirty minds. I see you. I see you. I see you. I see you. Say what? Bigger what? Yeah, I see what you're saying. But we are living in some weird times. All right? So please do me a favor. Before we get into everything, hit that like button down below. Crush it, do what it do. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on these other platforms. If you are watching on these other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Twitch, Kick, please make sure you hit that follow button. Subscribe here on my YouTube channel. Subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Set it to all so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload. Hit that notification bell. Set it to all so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload. Let's not forget that, please. Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon. And, of course, check out PascalMerch.com. PascalMerch.com. We got some really great stuff over there. Go ahead and put your peepers on the website and get you some nice threads. PascalMerch.com. Okay, guys. We have got to get into this conversation. And there's a lot of things that have been percolating during the day. And that we've already talked midday about those things. You know, you saw me sit there eating a nice juicy steak while we were going through some of that information. Sometimes I just got to eat. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes a mother lover just got to eat. All right. But I appreciate you guys being here. And it really means a lot. There's a lot that's going on. Okay. Yeah. I'm kind of feeling that same way, Rose City. I appreciate that. You know what I mean? Pascal works harder than Pascal. I don't know what that means, but you know what I mean. Malkovich. So here's the thing. We are living in the upside down. That's one thing that's for sure. Couple of developments that have happened over the course of the last few hours that are just getting a little funky. They're just a little weird. Okay, first and foremost, before we go into videos and all that, we need to address the elephant in the room. Okay, I don't know what the hell is wrong with Sheriff Nanos. I don't know what the hell is wrong with Sheriff Nanos. He has been acting very strange. Now, here it is. Hold up. Okay. Let me just make this abundantly clear. I'm not here trying to say that he's up to something sinister because I know already everybody's like, now I'm side-eyeing the hell out of Sheriff Nanos. You know what I'm saying? And I get that. I get the concern and I get the side eye. Okay. But I'm not throwing him excuse me, I'm not throwing him under the bus quite so soon. Not yet. Okay. But his movements have been a bit weird. And it could mean a couple of different things. It could mean a couple different things. Before we even jump into the realm of he's protecting the kidnapper. Before we even go there, okay? Before we even go down that route, there's some other possibilities here that we may not know. There's a lot of things that are going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. Clearly, there's some sort of dissonance that's going on between the FBI and local PD. Local PD does not like the fact that FBI is sticking their nose into their case, which, if you were to ask me my personal opinion, FBI should have already been here a long ass time ago because of how bad and how ass backwards this investigation has been as of late. Okay, just saying that out loud. Sorry, not sorry, because I'm not the only one who thinks that. We are all here thinking the same doggone thing for the most part. Yes, I know there's some people that be like, well, hold on now. Okay, they trying their best. Okay, why don't we just let them cook? Let them do their thing. They haven't done nothing. Just a nice Southern Baptist lady, Just let them cook. Let them do their thing. Okay, and the Lord will come through and he will find the truth. Right now, don't get me wrong. Amen. But here's the thing. He's been acting very strange. It's been weird. Everything's been ass backwards. We already talked about that. 2 days after she was missing, which they didn't even do a thorough search or anything of that sort. 2 whole days, they close the crime scene and release the house to the family. 2 whole days. 2 whole days of investigation. And they said, yep, sounds about right. We good. Yeah, it looks like we did enough in this place here. Looks like we could release the house back to the fam. Yeah, I think we could do that. I think that's a good idea. Go ahead and do that thing. 48 whole hours after she was gone, baby. Then what happened? We get some sycophantic, nasty, bottom feeder pieces of trash send out some ransom notes. And then all of a sudden they come, it's a crime scene, everybody. And everybody who's out there, media is going, but you just said it was open to the public like 5 days ago. Why are you guys here? What's going on? Back up. It's a crime scene. And then suddenly that's when they start doing their searches and stuff. They're going, oh, everybody, Catalina wine mixer. I don't know why it makes me think of the Catalina wine mixer. But anyway, Catalina Foothills residents, just so you know, we're going to be combing your area. We're going to be combing in the neighborhood. We're going to be searching high and low right now, just so you know, a whole 5, 6, 7 days, 7, 11, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 days later, just so you know, we're going to be out there. So if you see somebody, in uniform, don't fret. Don't you fret. We're going to be out there, though. We're going to be out there. The Catalina wine mixer. We're going to be out there. Just so you know. We're trying to find this old lady. Okay? We're going to find her alive. Days later. By the way, just here. Now, you don't have to come to me. I'll come to you. Here's the thing, though. That's the stuff that they should have done days ago. Actually, within the first 48 hours. Haven't they seen that show, First 48? Haven't they even seen like any Law and Order SVU episode like ever? You realize the first 48 hours is crucial, right? So you mean to tell me you didn't do nothing for 48 hours? And then days later, that's when you finally come out? After you released the house to the family? And you had media walking, traipsing all the way through that thing? All through that crime scene? Word? And then now, it's like you're doing after the fact? We're out here trying to find things, ma'am. Catalina wine mixer. We're trying to find things. We gonna find it though. Don't fret now. Don't you fret. Okay? We're gonna find her. But now we need to go door to door. Okay? How you doing, ma'am? Well, howdy, ma'am. Okay, we're wondering if we could. Have you ever seen anything weird on the night that Nancy Guthrie? You know your neighbor right over there. Yeah, across the street. Yeah, we're just wondering. Have you seen anything weird that night by any chance? Do you have a Ring camera or anything we can borrow? Maybe we could take a look at. If you could ever be so kind, can we just go and check that out? Right? Now, why didn't they do that in the first 48 hours? Why? Why didn't they? Because here's the thing. Here's the thing, my babies. My babies. I love y'all. I love you. I love you. Nothing but love here. Here's the thing. This is what is frustrating about this, because now we are hearing, okay, and for those of y'all who are all the way in the nosebleed seats, okay, I'm just going to make this abundantly clear, okay? Where is it? Where's that damn thing? They found DNA and a glove inside Nancy Guthrie's house today. Yep, they found a glove and some DNA inside Nancy Guthrie's crib. And we're now just finding out about it. Oh, it gets weirder. Like I said, we're gonna be looking at some things. Okay, but here it gets weirder. You want to know where it gets weird and why I'm side-eyeing the sheriff in a way, but not like saying like he has something to do with trying to protect the kidnappers and whatnot. But this is what's going on here too. He's also blocking the FBI to having access to the evidence that was found inside the mother-loving home. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to be using a whole lot of dun from this point on, but this is just for dramatic effect. But you see what I'm saying, what the F is going on here, guys. What in the actual F is going on here? Please explain to me why he's blocking the FBI from having access to the evidence. Why? Is it because of what we talked about earlier? The local PD just can't stand the FBI? They hate it that much? Oh, here comes the FBI. This is my crime scene, FBI, mine, right? That's basically the vibe I'm getting, right? Damn near he about to pull it out and pee on it to be like, see, I marked my territory. It's mine. This is so dumb. When in actuality, FBI, it seems like they're trying to do something. And I feel like the only reason why local PD started like nipping things in the butt and starting to stitch up their crappy operation, they started to make it tighter and better, and they started showing up days later. It re-erected a whole crime scene and all that. The only reason why they did that is because FBI showed up. Because this is my crime scene. This is my case. While the whole world is watching you, looking like doggone Boo-Boo the Fool, dropping all kinds of balls, okay? Suddenly you're trying to save face after the fact. But this right here does not make the situation any better. Now, does it? Now everybody's going to be looking at Nanos in a weird way. Come on, let's take a look at this article. Why would you block it? What's the logical reason? So, Arizona Sheriff, Nanos, blocks FBI access to evidence in Nancy Guthrie abduction, source says. This is from Reuters, guys. So, an Arizona Sheriff, we already know who he is. Okay? Nanos. Like a distant third cousin, 5 times removed relation to Thanos. Okay? Just shorter and not purple. All right. He's apparently blocking FBI access to key evidence in the investigation into the abduction of U.S. television journalist Savannah Guthrie's mother, impairing its ability to assist in the probe. A U.S. law enforcement official with knowledge of the case told Reuters today. So the FBI asked Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos for physical evidence in the case, including a glove and NBA and DNA and DNA from the home of Nancy Guthrie. They wanted it to be processed at the FBI's National Crime Laboratory. I'm sorry, in Quantico, Virginia, which, by the way, is a very, very big deal. Okay? That's a very, very big deal that they want to take it over to Quantico. This is not them just saying, we're just going to take it over to this mom and pop shop down the street. Okay, DNA in them. You don't know that company, DNA in them? Yeah, they do a good job. It's pretty, 70% of the time, it works all the time. Huh? No, they're going to Quantico. Okay? Big deal. But Nanos has insisted instead of using a private lab in Florida. Why? Outsourcing forensic analysis to a Florida contractor, effectively denying the access of the FBI to crucial evidence in the case, is delaying the FBI ability to assist in this case, according to the official. A spokesperson for the sheriff did not immediately respond, blah, blah, blah. In a daily press update released earlier in the day, the sheriff's department said investigators had recovered several items of evidence, including gloves, plural, adding that all viable evidence is submitted for analysis. The agency did not elaborate on what kind of analysis. Now, why would they block? Why would Nanos go out of his way to block FBI from going and taking it to probably one of the best, top of the line, but most experienced individuals that could probably scrape that stuff, whatever the stuff that they have, for DNA that could get them closer to finding this individual and getting Nancy home as soon as possible? Why would he block the FBI? Here's one thought in my mind. I thought, what if he just doesn't believe or trust the FBI? It's still weird, though. They're supposed to be working in tandem. They're supposed to be working together. Captain Planet, you know what I'm saying? They're supposed to be working together. Powers combined, right? But that's not what's happening here. Blocking the FBI to access to this evidence so that they can maybe get Nancy Guthrie back home faster seems a little bit asinine to me, don't you think? The only one thing I can think of is that he just, one, it's pretty sinister. And the other one I can go, okay, maybe he just doesn't think the FBI is good enough. Is good enough to do the job. Here's the other thing. Nomadic Duck Man just said it too. And I agree. Straight up ego. That's all it is. Because he wants to be the one to save the day. He wants to be the one that gets the flowers at the end, the trophy at the end. And we already know he's pretty vindictive. We already know about his story. We already heard that earlier today. Okay, that he's vindictive, that he is petty, from what we understand. And if those rumors are true, then this makes a lot of sense. But it also optically looks strange because now everybody's side-eyeing Nanos and wondering, is he going out of his way to try to protect this kidnapper? or kidnappers. I find it a little weird, guys, because you don't want the sheriff that is spearheading and is the face of this case be thrown into the suspect list. That's the last thing you want to do. But the way he's been moving out here, how he's been operating out here in these streets have been sus as hell, if you ask me. Haven't you noticed that it's been a little weird how he's been handling things? Now, I'm not sitting here saying that he has anything to do with the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, but he's being really, really sloppy. And I wouldn't be surprised if the pendulum starts to swing back and hit him right between the legs. Well, let's continue on, guys. Let's take a look.
And Jesse, I want to start with a little breaking.
This is from Jesse Waters, a clip from Jesse Waters. Let's take a look at this.
And Jesse, I want to start with a little breaking news. A high-level source of the FBI has just confirmed to me that the Pima County Sheriff's Department has blocked key evidence to the FBI. We're talking about a glove found inside Nancy Guthrie's house, along with some DNA. The FBI wanted that evidence so they could take it, analyze it themselves, send it to Quantico to get some faster return. The Sheriff's Department decided to keep that evidence and send it to a private analyst firm in Florida. So clearly that is not going to help the relationship here between the FBI and the Pima County Sheriff, which we know in the early going has been tense at best. You talked about this 2-mile radius. We're talking video, right? Not only is it just a 2-mile radius, but they're now very specific in telling the people who live in the Catalina foothills that what they want here is they want cars that are parked. They want video of cars driving by, people walking by, anything that seems to be out of the ordinary. They would like that. And they've actually widened the window. You were talking about specific dates, February 1st and January 11th. Now they want video, Jesse, from January 1st to February 2nd, which is interesting because Feb 2nd is a day after Nancy Guthrie disappeared. They would like video like you talked about, where the TMZ video that came to them with a man who had backpacks and looked like he was trying to open a fence and set one backpack down. Reports are that evidence, that person has been cleared, but that is the type of unusual, odd video that the FBI would love to be able to go over because they think it is very pivotal. We spoke to some neighbors around here, and the neighbors tell us, Jesse, that what they were asked for is actually to give the FBI, to give the county sheriffs some idea of the cars that they own, the cars that they drive. It's kind of, the process of elimination, so they can get an idea of what cars are driving in and out of this area all the time and what cars are not known to be driving in and out of this area all the time. So we should kind of give you an idea of, the time frame. We were hoping that we'd have more information on video that came from inside the house, around the side of the house, the back of the house. We believe, the FBI believes, there is more video available. The question is, when will we get a chance to see anything that might have come out of that, pulling that information from the cloud?
Yeah, I think it's very strange that you got two agencies. We heard this. We saw a tweet, right? We saw a tweet from Brian Enton earlier in the day, right, where he said that people, like insiders are saying they don't know who's leading this investigation at all. They don't know if it's the FBI or if it's local PD. They have no clue. That's how much of a power struggle is going on between these two agencies, which is really jacked up, if you ask me. This is a mess, absolute mess, and it shouldn't be like this, okay? Brian Enton put it out. They don't even know who is running things, who is spearheading this investigation. That's how sloppy this is. That's not how it's supposed to be. This sheriff needs to sit down. They need to have the deputy step forward, take over the deputy sheriff. Okay, the sheriff deputy, or however the phrase is, you get what I'm saying, or whatever the title is. Whoever's right underneath him needs to step forward. He needs to take several seats. Go have a cup of coffee and a couple donuts, okay? And put a smile back on that face, Okay, go to the local strip club, go get you a lap dance. Just go get just go be happy somewhere. Okay, and let somebody else run the show. All right, because right now this is an absolute clown show. Absolutely. And by them doing this petty BS and this tension and this lack of communication between two agencies, this does not get us closer to finding Nancy Guthrie at all. And I wonder if Nancy Guthrie's family even knows about this BS that's going on. Think about that. Think about how sad and messed up and warped that is. Nancy Guthrie doesn't deserve this. Whatever their differences are, they need to put their egos and their differences aside and come together as a unit, a unified front, and try to find Nancy Guthrie. Share information. Unless, like I said, unless it's not ego and it's Nanos just doesn't trust the FBI, then fine. I guess that's okay. That doesn't make any sense, but you know what I'm saying? I feel like they need a Dr. Phil moment. You know what I'm saying? Narrow. I understand, Nanos, you don't trust the FBI. Please explain that. Like, just have a little powwow. You know? They just need to go through, have a quick therapy session. 5 minutes. This is how I feel about you. This is how you feel about me. Okay, let's find a common ground, hug it out, and let's go find Nancy. That's what should be happening right now. Okay? Where's Dr. Phil? Where is Dr. Phil when you need him? Because this is messy. This is absolutely messy. Right, Jesse?
Trace, you mentioned the glove that I guess
rhymed.
There's a turf war over between the sheriff and the FBI. Was that the glove that was found on the side of the road, or are you talking about a different glove? It's a different glove. This is a glove that was actually inside the house.
Okay. Here's the big deal. Okay? First off, glove was found inside the casa. Big deal. Number one. That's a very, very big deal. Here, I'm just gonna add, I need to address the elephant in the room. All right? Why are we finding it now? Why are we finding it now?
Of Nancy Guthrie. We don't know who the glove belonged to. We don't know if it was a random glove, but there was a glove inside the house that is now being analyzed at a private firm in Florida, and the FBI wanted that glove to be analyzed at Quantico in Virginia. So DNA inside the house and a glove unknown who it belongs to or what the context is on the glove, but a glove that was also inside the house.
Now, here's the thing. This glove and that DNA could be a multitude of different things. I just want to make that abundantly clear. It is a big deal that they found something, but it's crazy that they found it's 12 days. It's 12 days later. It's 12 days later. Okay. 12 days later, 12 whole days later. And they're like, whoa, what's this sitting here in the middle of the room? Is that a glove? Has anybody, y'all seen this glove in the middle of the room? Wow, this is crazy. There's a huge pool of blood in the middle of the room. Has anyone seen this pool of blood in the middle of the room? My God, it's right here. You just saw this 12 days later? What in the... Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Come on. You can't make this up. Like I said, this is it's like a TV show. It's like a movie that we're watching. This is a small town, you know? It's a small town police department. Massive murder that happened, let's just say, you know what I mean? In the movie, of course. Because, of course, we hope that Nancy is still alive. But they're incompetent. They don't know anything. And the sheriff is over his head, right? But we're seeing it in real time. We're seeing it in real life. Glove and DNA. Like, the glove could have been stashed somewhere. It could have rolled. Maybe something happened. He, somehow it flew underneath a couch or something like that. But still, I feel like it would have been found way before 12 whole days. But here's the other thing, too. It could be a worker's glove. Somebody who came in to work inside the house, or that was working outside the house and maybe threw away a glove. That's possible too. There's also the other possibility of someone working there that may have nicked their hand while cooking or cleaning or doing yard work outside. That's still a possibility as well. Could be a strand of hair. They don't say what kind of DNA it is. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, landscapers handling cacti, plural for cactus, not cactuses. Don't you dare say cactuses. Okay? Don't you dare. But that's many possibilities. It could be nothing at all, but it also could be something. But the fact that they're finding it 12 whole days later is wild. Then on top of that, because of how slow things have been going, moving slow as molasses, they suddenly are now going, no, FBI, you can't go and take it to the best and brightest in the country, if not in the world. Come on now. For a fact, this is Trump's FBI. So, it's the best you've ever seen, of the likes you've never seen before. The FBI, the DNA guys. I tell you, they do it. They're amazing. They're amazing with the DNA. Why would they sit there and say, why would the sheriff go no to the best? Make that make sense. And send it to and I'm not knocking the place that he sent it to in Florida, but for a fact, they gonna come back. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that was a terrible impression. Okay, it was terrible. But at the same time, you see what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? You send it to FBI. FBI don't play. Yes, they've made mistakes and stuff, but they got the technology to nip this thing in the bud pretty quickly. So, you know what I'm saying? Don't you dare, Shay, don't you don't you dare, Shay. Don't you dare say that. Cactuses. It's cacti, mang. Okay? But you realize that this is absolutely insane, right? That they just blocked that from the FBI being able to be like, we can expedite this pretty quickly if we send it over to Quantico. He's like, nope. I got a cousin down in Florida. He's going to take care of it. He got it. And especially this opportunity. This is a huge opportunity for his lab and everything. Yeah, it's in his mama's basement, but at the same time, he is very good. He is quick as a whippersnapper. Just give him a chance. He gonna get it done. Come on now. Quantico, a lab in Florida. Which one would you pick? You know what I'm saying? Just a thought. Let's continue on, though. It's the level of stupidity. It's almost comical. And also sad as F, because we ain't got time for this. We got to take care. We got things to take care of. And this is not how you take care of things. In fact, Brian Ensign tweeted something that he said it best. It's insane. Look at that. It's insane. He put that up 18 minutes ago. That is how an FBI source summarizes the Peanut County Sheriff withholding evidence from the FBI. It's insane. I've said it's asinine. I said it's ass backwards. I said it's suspicious. It's petty. But I agree. It's insane. Yeah, they're wasting a lot of time, guys. Okay? I don't get it, guys. I truly do not get it. But we're going to continue on. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are still talking about this as well. Yes, I did want to bring this up, Messi. Thank you so much for bringing this up too. So shout out to beautiful Messi Ball. But of course, the man that was in this video, they have cleared him. But just so you guys can see this video again, just a quick trip down memory lane. Take a look. Remember the guy, and this one, his face is blurred out, but you saw him. He had like a goatee. He had a little mustache. Okay. He had 2 book bags. So there's that. He has been cleared. This guy has been cleared, just so you guys know. Okay. Which is good. I'm glad he was, well, I'd rather them get the right guy. But it seems like there's a lot of guys around this time, over the course of a few days surrounding the day that she was actually taken. There's a lot of people like just walking around at night in the area. I don't know if it's just an area filled with a lot of crime, but that it is very interesting that, you know what I mean? That there are people just walking out there in pitch black in these areas. Okay. But they are saying that guy has been cleared. He has been cleared of being involved in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. That's what they're saying. According to NBC News, that's what they're saying. But let us look at this. Michael Ruiz posted this. We're going to go back. But he also is talking about how, Arizona sheriff blocks FBI from key evidence in this case, which, again, like I said, doesn't make any earthly sense. It just doesn't. It really, really doesn't. Okay. Sheriff Nanos sent a glove recovered from inside the house to a private lab in Florida rather than the FBI's lab in Virginia. Like I said, it's like, are you going to try, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. I can't think of an analogy, but you get what I'm saying. It's just like you go into this local mom and pop shop, and you might be risking it. It might be the best ice cream you've ever had, or you go and you get some Haagen-Dazs, right? And just so you know, FBI's Haagen-Dazs. If you didn't already know, you already know it's going to be good. You already know it's going to be thorough. You already know what the results are going to be. You know what I mean? From them, they're going to do everything they can to figure it out, and also clear anybody if there is someone that needs to be cleared. But the fact that he's like, nope, nah, you ain't touching this. This is going over here. Because like I said, this is all about ego. This is all about ego, which is really, 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 really sad. Now, I'm going over to JLR real quick because I know he's still outside. I want to show you guys outside too and what's popping off over there. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at what's going on.
Yesterday, it said
So he's back over at Annie's house right now.
at 10, what was the time? Was it, ladies and gentlemen? He said 10:14 a.m. down by the Home Depot. Is that where First Avenue is? He said, like,
yeah, there's a First Avenue over there by the Home Depot. Yeah.
So he said he saw them going through the woods, HSI.
Oh, okay.
So yesterday
that's
morning
not
there was like a
over there.
911 call or something like that, talking about masks similar to the mask worn by the suspect in the Nancy Guthrie kidnapping, and so they took it serious to go down there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, God only knows. I mean, the person.
Well, somebody just said here, look, SAR 592202 says, JLR, I am sure the perps are watching.
Right. Oh yeah. I bet you anything they're probably watching your live stream. I mean,
The perps, the perps wondering if we're gonna crack the case. Perps wondering. I'll tell you what, Tommaso is much taller than 5'9", 5'10". Tommaso stands over 6 feet. I mean, he's hovering over everyone else in that family picture.
Yeah.
You know, so I 100% do not believe Tommaso is that person in that pic.
Yep, I don't think it's Tommaso either. I really don't. Now, could it be connected? Could he be connected to the whole thing? He could have orchestrated it, right, and had it be done, or it could literally, this whole thing could literally be a full-on random act of violence, which doesn't make any sense because in my mind, I'm like, why would they pick her house of all places? What, do they flip a coin and then they just said, let's go over there? You see what I'm saying? Let's just go to this house. It just seems so strange to me, right? But, you know, there's a lot of commotion going on outside of Annie's house. Of course, there's going to be a lot of commotion going on outside of all these particular areas. Hold on. Let's hear this.
I'm going to get some rest.
Okay.
We'll see what happens out front.
Yeah, and as he should, because I know he's been doing like 12-hour shows, which have been 12-hour streams, which have been insane, right? He's been covering everything nonstop. So shout out to JLR for his work. Let's take a look at this.
That backpack identified as a black 25-liter Ozark Trail Hiker Pack backpack, which confirms what TMZ founder Harvey Levin said to us last night here on the show about the backpack. The FBI is also releasing images of what a similar backpack looks like. And it comes as TMZ has now received another email from someone who claims to know who kidnapped Nancy Guthrie, purporting to be the same person who had sent them an email prior. Harvey Levin is now out front. He's obviously been breaking news from the beginning of this and received the initial ransom note. So, Harvey, the FBI coming out tonight and confirming the backpack model that you reported here 24 hours ago. You were very specific that this was an Ozark Trail hiker pack because you guys had gone and done the boots on the ground reporting at Walmart. Turns out you're right.
Yeah. The problem with that is it's pretty common backpack and it sells a lot. So I'm actually more interested in this holster because I think the holster is so unique because the type of gun that he had in that holster is not the type of gun you typically carry in it. So I really think that there is something there that maybe a gun range or somebody, maybe a gun store would have kind of seen that holster and been surprised at the kind of gun that was in it. So the backpack, maybe somebody, will have a lead on that. But I think that holster is really important.
And you know what? You were talking about the holster last night, too. You identified it as really important. And I know you were making calls. You were calling all of the gun ranges, right, to see if anybody had showed up with that type of a holster, right? Because as you were pointing out, Harvey, to someone who really knew a lot about guns or who was in law enforcement, who at a gun range, a holster like this would stand out to them, right? So they might remember somebody had come in, which was your logic, and you were making those calls. Have you learned anything?
No, I mean, look, we're making calls all day. And a lot of the people, don't want to talk if you're not one of the authorities. And a lot of them said, we don't know anything. It's just one of those things where you make 100 phone calls and, eventually somebody says, oh, yeah, I remember that. We haven't gotten that so far.
Yeah. All right. So let me ask you about this email, because you got another email, Harvey, from someone who says they know who kidnapped Nancy Guthrie and that they'll reveal it for one Bitcoin, which we were talking about this last night, $67,000. You had gotten one yesterday. Okay. Now you got another one. And the writer tells you this is going to be their final communication attempt. So tell me what it says.
Well, again, this is the same person who sent us something yesterday. And this one, well, it is more ominous, and we can talk about that in a minute. But this person says, you got to take me seriously. And he's saying the reason he wants this Bitcoin is because he is going to have to go underground because he says he fears retaliation. He knows who the kidnapper is, and he's going to be kind of tarred and feathered, as he puts it, a national rat. But he also mentions the delivery man. He said, I also don't want, this, I could end up with, being implicated the way this delivery man was, and he was, detained but released, and he doesn't want that either. So he said basically he needs this Bitcoin so he can just disappear for a while and not work. I got to tell you, Aaron, we made it very clear yesterday that we forwarded yesterday's to law enforcement. We forwarded this one to law enforcement and said that if this is a hoax, it's a crime. It's a federal crime. And this person came back and is really saying, look, this is the last time I'm going to send you anything, but I know who this kidnapper is and I can lead you to him. So, look,
there's no reason for us to believe anything that this guy is saying. He's not saying anything at all except for, well, you should be taking me seriously. That's what you should be doing. You should be taking me seriously. And, that's not enough. He needs to give more if that's going to be the situation, right? He needs to give more. If he does have something, he needs to show proof that there's something else there, right? So this is just so ridiculous. But let me play a little bit more.
I don't know.
Oh, and also, by the way, the ransom, not the ransom, I'm sorry. The the reward money has doubled. It has gone up to $100,000 now. 6 whole figures, okay? $100,000 for anyone with any information about her whereabouts, or if you saw something, or if you are a part of it, call local PD. Like, you never know. You might have been a part of it, and now you're having your conscience is coming into play. If your conscience, is coming to play. So if that is the case, call 911. Do the right thing. Shouldn't only just be for fiduciary reasons that you call 911 and you expose this piece of trash or these pieces of trash. You should do it just for the sake of getting this woman home to her family alive, right? But now, $100,000, it's a lot of quiche. It's a whole lot of quiche. Call 911. Make it so.
We've sent it on to the FBI. They're looking at it. But he says something in the middle of it that, he paints a very bleak picture.
Okay, I want to ask you about a lot of things here on the bleak picture as well. But can I just ask you one thing, just to be very clear, because I think you're right on the edge of it, but I want to make it clear. Because last night we were laying out, well, if you get $50,000 from the FBI and $67,000 is one Bitcoin, why not just call law enforcement and do it that way, right? And they made it feel like maybe this wasn't real. But you just walked up to the edge there on that they're giving you a reason, that they're saying they'd be tarred and feathered, or what was the reason that they gave why they were coming to you and not with the FBI?
They didn't say. They did not say. They just gave this reason that they need the money because they're going to have to go underground. And I assume what that means is they're not going to make any money, while they go underground. But they seem, at least, again, if it's real, scared of retaliation. And I think that's at its base. And we talked yesterday that, sometimes, they don't pay the reward to a certain person. And so this is more of a bird in the hand, I guess. I don't know whether there's any coincidence here about him asking for a Bitcoin again and the FBI now raising the stakes to $100,000 because now it's significantly more than the Bitcoin. I don't know. It's just,
it's fair. I thought of that too.
Yeah.
So Harvey, okay, so now in it, you talk about, but there's a sentence in there where it paints a very bleak picture and there's an ominous warning. What is that?
Look, the reason I don't want to put this out there, and it's not even so much that law enforcement asked us not to, but, I don't know that this is real or not. So I don't want to put something out there that may not be true at all. But this person is acting like the situation has changed. Let me just kind of leave it at that. I just don't want to go beyond that, other than to say that if this person is real, this is a dire situation.
If the person is real, which I don't think he's real, yes, this is a very, very serious situation, clearly, but he's not real. This is not a real person. Because I have not heard anybody else, any other outlets actually say out loud, yeah, we got the same letter, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? And clearly, the family isn't taking it seriously either, because I feel like they would have already said something by now if they thought that letter was actually real. Let's go over to Brian Enton. He's on News Nation with Chris Cuomo. Asking him some questions about this whole thing. So let's take a listen to this.
Go to Brian Enton and get the
hit the like button down below,
on
guys.
new appeals
Let's get into
from the
2K.
authorities and
2K,
some new
let's go.
stink, which I'll ask you to address first. That the locals aren't playing well with the feds, and that's what has
Crazy.
been making this such a constipated process. What do we know?
Yeah, I've been hearing that narrative for days, Chris, from investigators here on the ground. Even today, I am told that investigators who are working the case, who are actively working the case, have no idea who is in charge. They don't know if the sheriff is in charge or if whether the FBI is in charge. And now this Reuters report just came out, and they are claiming that the local sheriff is withholding key evidence from the FBI, and that there was a glove that was found inside Nancy Guthrie's home that the FBI asked to test themselves. They wanted to send the glove to Quantico, and Reuters is reporting that instead the sheriff went behind their back and sent the glove to a private lab in Florida. So that is brand new. And again, the sense on the ground is that there has been issues between the sheriff and the FBI. Didn't call the FBI in earlier. This has been an ongoing issue. I want to give you the description again, though, because this is important and this is new. The description of the suspect, the Nancy Guthrie suspect, approximately 5'9" to 5'10" tall with an average build. He's wearing a black 25-liter Ozark Trail Hiker Pack backpack. And the hope is that someone will recognize some of this information, reward now up to $100,000. What's interesting also, Chris, is they have sent out a neighborhood alert through an app, the sheriff's office did, a 2-mile radius all around where I'm standing right now, outside Nancy's home, asking anyone with video going all the way back to January 1st, so long before Nancy went missing.
That's
They're
crazy.
asking for anyone with any video of anyone who looks suspicious, a suspicious vehicle, to send it into the sheriff's office. And that other video that you showed at the top from the same night Nancy went missing, about 5 miles away, the video of the other guy with the backpack. I've been skeptical of that video all along because it's around the same time that Nancy went missing. And it just, the fact that he could be there and then 5 miles away suddenly be here didn't make sense. NBC News now reporting, according to law enforcement sources they have, that video, that they've cleared that guy, that he's not a part of the equation anymore, Chris.
There we go.
They got two things, and I appreciate that. Thank you for bringing us up to date on all of it. Two, one is they know what kind of backpack it is. And there are a million different types of backpacks. This one's fairly specific, so you know what they're doing. They're scrubbing sales of that backpack in that area and cross-referencing it in terms of when they were purchased.
Now, here's the thing: they got to scrub through all that, right? Right? They got to scrub through all that. That's a lot of work. You understand that, right? That's a lot of work. That's a lot of, because it's apparently that's a very common backpack that they sell at these retail stores. So they're gonna have to scan through all of those backpacks. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that they won't find their culprit, that they won't find the bad guy, but I'm just saying it's going to be a process. You know, this is not going to be an easy process. They got to comb through all of that, because you never know when that guy bought that backpack. He could have bought it a year ago. He could have bought it a day before this whole thing, right? Yeah. He could have gotten it somewhere else via online. You know, he could have gotten it through Amazon or something of that sort, right? So again, this is very, very interesting. We got to see how they're gonna do it, but it's gonna be it's not like they're gonna be able to comb through all that stuff that quickly, you know, unless they have the teams, both FBI and local PD, working together in unison. That's what they need. They need unity. You know what I'm saying? That's what they need. Okay, we'll see.
That's actually
Yeah, Nicole B. It could also be borrowed too. Let's not forget that too. It could, you know. Interesting.
More important piece of information than, the layman would think. The second thing is his gait. The video when he is walking around and picking up that piece of brush, you get telltale signs of how this man moves, which people should review again and see if there's anybody they meet. Not this part, but when he turns around now, I'm showing the video for them that you've seen a million times. When he turns around from there, right, he's awkwardly using his hand to block the camera. He doesn't know what he's doing. This guy's an ass clown, right? But when he walks away, he
There we
has,
go.
there's a familiarity to his gait that people should be aware of and watch. Brian, you're on it. Your reporting has been excellent. I'm following you on TikTok like I was a teenager. You're doing a great job, and you're giving people what they need to know, and you're keeping them engaged. Thank you for doing that, and thank you for doing it for the right reasons. I now want to bring in Andrew Black, former special agent in charge, right, what they call a SAC in the FBI, a big shot at the Tucson office, and retired FBI special agent Jennifer Coffindaffer, and co-host of America's Most Wanted, Callahan Walsh. Cal, it's good to see you, but thank you for coming in tonight. Appreciate it. Andrew, it's good to have you on the show. Jennifer, as always, I appreciate you. Anybody feel that I'm out of my depth when I say it is way too soon? Yeah, maybe the sheriff is messing with the FBI and they're having a power struggle. Fine. That's nothing new to any of us. But the idea that you look at this investigation and say, yeah, they screwed it up. Does anybody believe we're at that point?
No, I don't believe that at all. The sheriffs, I've worked with the deputies in the Pima County Sheriff's Office. At the ground level, the agents and those officers have an excellent relationship. If there's any disconnect, it's at the command level. The agents and the personnel for the FBI who work these cases and those from the Pima County Sheriffs, they're invested in these cases. Jen knows because she's worked these kidnappings also. You get invested, you pour your blood, your sweat into these cases, and you want more than anyone to get the victim home to their family. Nobody wants them back. Nobody wants Nancy back more than these officers on the ground.
Thank you for watching.
Well, it seems like, yes, it is that is something that they want, right? They all want to have it figured out. They all want it solved, right? That's their job. And of course they care. But there is another part of me that thinks that their own egos are more important than actually finding out who this person is and catching this particular person, right? That's my problem. That's my problem personally. Yeah, they really want to get her. They really want to find her, but they're too busy having their egos involved to actually, focus and see what's really going on here. Let's go over to Brian Enton's YouTube channel. Let's take a look.
Situation here in Arizona. I'm outside Nancy Guthrie's house. I've been reporting that there have been concerns about the Pima County Sheriff and whether or not he was cooperating enough with the FBI, whether he called the FBI in soon enough. I haven't been able to figure out who's actually in charge. And I found out today, even investigators working the case say they don't know who's in charge, if it's the sheriff or the FBI. Well, now Reuters is reporting that the sheriff's office is withholding key evidence in the Nancy Guthrie case from the FBI, which is a really big deal. And Reuters is reporting that among the evidence being withheld is there was a glove apparently that was found inside Nancy Guthrie's house that the FBI wanted to test at Quantico, which is like the best place in the world to test for DNA and that kind of thing.
You just heard what he just said. The best place in the world to get the DNA analyzed and all of that. The best in the world. And this sheriff passed over it and said no. I don't think he wants this solved.
And instead, the sheriff sent it to a private laboratory in Florida. And I mean, if that report turns out to be true, this Reuters report, that's really, really shocking. But it does go along with sort of the vibe out here on the ground and what I'm hearing from local investigators that that the FBI should have been called in sooner and that the sheriff didn't want to do it. So I'll keep you.
Sheriff did not want that stuff out to Quantico. One of the best of the best in the game. The best in the game. And he said, nah, we good. That makes no sense. That's strange to me. And I think everyone else should find that a bit strange too. Okay. We got to take a look at this. This is interesting. This is from Brian Enton as well. Let's take a look at this video.
Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out my show. I really, really appreciate it. Please.
This episode is called, well, the thumbnail said, "Who's in charge?" Right? We got to take a look at a little bit of this.
Click to subscribe. Really appreciate all your support. I am here outside Nancy Guthrie's house in Tucson, Arizona. It's now day 12 since Nancy Guthrie went missing. Nancy's house is behind me. I kind of just came up here to, it's so hard to find shade here. So there's like some shade under a tree here. So I figured I would just talk to you guys.
There's a lot of shade between the local PD and the FBI, though. Plenty of shade. No? Okay. Okay. Okay.
Here, go over all the latest developments of the last 24 hours or so. And it seems like every day sort of starts out slow in the morning and then new things happen and develop, which I guess is a good thing. It shows that there is at least what appears to be progress in the case, or at least, that investigators are working hard. First of all, this morning, a white tent was put up outside of Nancy Guthrie's house. And this kind of came out of nowhere. It appeared to be sheriff's deputies showed up, put this tent up right up against the front door of the house, like very, very close to the front door, so that we couldn't see what was going on. We saw one of the investigators go in with what looked like photographic equipment. But then what was interesting was and we zoomed in on this, there was another investigator that went in with what is called a forensic height board, which I never heard of before, a forensic height board, which has measurements on it. And I am told they would use that to try and figure out the height of the suspect. So basically they would go back and look at the surveillance photos and videos and then use this forensic height board to try to determine how tall the person is. I'm also wondering if they were possibly looking at blood, doing more testing on the blood, how far apart the blood droplets were. Because remember, we went up there and got the video of the blood before, when they opened up the crime scene the first time. But it wasn't like a pool of blood, if you guys remember. It was like blood droplets in different places that went from the door all the way out to near the driveway. And we don't know if they were also testing that. And the other thought I had at first when they put the tent up is for the first time there's rain in the forecast tomorrow. So I thought maybe they were just covering that area because rain is coming. But that doesn't appear to be the case, because within a couple of hours they took the tent down and they were gone. And the most interesting thing that I noticed was the forensic height board, which again would indicate that they were trying to figure out the height of the person who was seen in the surveillance video. I also want to mention, before I get any deeper into what I've seen today from the investigation, Savannah Guthrie did post a new video on her Instagram, and it's just so heartbreaking. It shows just older videos of her mom, Nancy. And again, it just reminds you of the fact that this is a real person, that this is a real family suffering, and just how loved Nancy is by her family, but also by people in this community here in Tucson. And Nancy and Savannah wrote, "Our lovely mom, we will never give up on her. Thank you for your prayers and hope." And she posted that old home video, which, I think I've told you guys, I get so wrapped up in the investigation and running around to all the different places and trying to stay on top of everything. I just like to remember that, this woman is loved by so many. And I just think about what her family is going through right now. So I want to read you the latest update from the Pima County Sheriff's Office that just came out a little while ago. They are saying investigators are requesting all video footage that includes vehicles, vehicle traffic, people, pedestrians, and anything neighbors deem out of the ordinary or important to our investigation from January 1st, 2026 to February 2nd, 2026. So they are looking for any video now going all the way back to January 1st, well before Nancy went missing. An alert was just sent via a Neighbors app to users within a 2-mile radius of Nancy Guthrie's residence near East Skyline Drive and North Campbell Avenue. And I'll put the link below, but there's a link where you can submit this video. It says investigators are reviewing all videos submitted by neighbors, including any new ones that come in. So again, they're now going back all the way to January 1st, 2026. So well before Nancy went missing, looking for any video that anybody thinks is unusual, which is interesting. They're trying to see, obviously, if this person has been in the neighborhood before. The other interesting thing is one of the neighbors out here told us that when the detective came to their door looking for Ring video, they specifically asked for video from January 11th,
Fox News alert,
between 9 p.m. and midnight. Why they were zeroing in on that specific time, January 11th, between 9 p.m. and midnight, I don't know, but that is clearly a time frame that they are also interested in, that they didn't put out publicly, but that is what one of the neighbors told me.
Now, there could be a situation where in that footage, remember, FBI was able to do some sort of background, like pull out old, like the video, right, of the masked guy. They did some magical trick and they were able to get that. So they may have been able to scrub through a whole bunch of stuff, and maybe that guy went and was walking in that area around January 11th or something of that sort. Maybe this guy, like I said before, maybe this whole thing was plotted or planned out, and then, January 31st, late at night, February 1st, early morning, that's when he decided to pounce. That is possible. Maybe that's the reason why they're trying to get the footage from other people's homes, just to see if this is the guy. Maybe he went to other homes and was checking out these other homes, stalking these other homes before he finally decided, I'm going after that house. You see what I'm saying? That's possible. This still could have been a random act. I still don't think it is. I still feel like this is some sort of inside job in some sort of way. Not saying that is Annie or Tommaso's doing, but I do think that there is some sort of inside job. If it's somebody who works at the house, or a family member that knows that their wife or boyfriend or husband or girlfriend works at that house and knows about Nancy and the money that the family has. I mean, anything's possible. It's just so strange that they would go after this house and this house alone. But, it's just interesting. That's why I feel like it is more of a targeted and planned and inside job. That's what I think.
Let me go back to the latest release from Pima County Sheriff. The Pima County Sheriff's Department periodically uses the Neighbors app to contact residents with home surveillance cameras. Requests will come from Pima County Sheriff's Department with a blue check mark. So they're sending this alert out within a 2-mile radius of Nancy Guthrie's house, which is behind me. So 2 miles all the way around, looking for any new video. They say as more leads come in, detectives and agents will continue to follow up on viable leads throughout the community. You can expect to see a higher presence of law enforcement activity going forward, which we've seen every day. I showed you guys yesterday. I mean, there's dozens of FBI agents out here now searching. They were back in Nancy's yard yesterday, in the side yard. They were searching across the street where the media is set up. And then, of course, they were searching where they found the gloves. It says, in terms of notes, the FBI is handling all aspects related to any reason, notes, or communications involving the Guthrie family. Any inquiries regarding this matter should be directed to the FBI Public Affairs Office. So this is in terms of like ransom notes. TMZ is reporting that they've received another note from the same email they received yesterday, which is someone saying that they know who has Nancy Guthrie, and they're asking for Bitcoin also. Look, I'm skeptical of these notes. They could be real, but the fact that they're being sent to TMZ and, there's obviously people trying to take advantage of the situation. We already saw the one arrest. There's people trying to take advantage of the situation and make money off of all of this. So I don't know. Could they be real? Yes, I'm sure police are looking into it. The FBI is looking into it, but I don't know what I make of these TMZ notes. They're saying there are no press briefings scheduled at this time. Sheriff Nanos.
I'm going to skip ahead.
Right outside the front door of Nancy's house, kind of like almost like sealed to the front little entryway. Okay. And it was up for a couple of hours. We saw them go in with what looked like maybe photographic equipment, but then also it looked like almost a chart, like a measurement chart that they took in there. And then they took the tent down. What do you think is going on here?
It's hard to say. I did not see the tent, so I'm not exactly sure. They could have been using it simply to block light for whatever they might have been doing. They might have been doing some sort of evidence collection as far as scientific goes, blood collection, things like that, looking for any type of biological samples. And the chart could have been, just seeing, simply testing something to see if it comes back positive as blood or some other type of, body fluid or something like that.
Yeah, let me show you a picture because I have
Sure.
a picture. I was wondering with the chart if maybe they're going to try to get us a height to release.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they can somehow use that use that to try to figure out how tall the suspect was. This is so that the door is right behind there, and that's what they put up there.
Yeah. Again, it would just be something. There's a million different reasons, quite honestly, and it could be simply to keep the prying eyes out as well.
For something they were doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you surprised that this just randomly popped up? I mean, we're I think day 12 now.
A little surprised, yes. The fact that they're doing anything still, it's still good because you want to follow up on any lead, but it's unfortunate that it's been 12 days since you had that initial bite of the purest apple you're going to get. There was literally a pizza guy that walked up there yesterday, so there are so many contaminations, chain of custody issues at this point, but it still doesn't matter because you still might get something that's valuable. You know, it never hurts to keep trying.
In terms of people, you mentioned the pizza guy walking up, that got a lot of attention. We were able to go get video of the blood initially just because it was open. People are surprised that it wasn't sealed off just all this time. I mean, you worked at the sheriff's office for so long. Has that been an issue in the past?
It's difficult because it's still a family's house. You know, you get a search warrant and you can keep it for a reasonable amount of time, but we can't keep it forever. And at some point, you've exhausted all your investigative leads and tools that you're going to do at the scene. It's not uncommon to have to go back because maybe a day or 2 or 3 days later, you get some new information, some new evidence like, oh, we weren't even looking for something like that. You might have to apply for a new search warrant to get it amended. Because in your initial search warrant, that was out of the scope of your search. So there's a lot of different reasons why these things might pop up. Ideally, it would be done as soon as you have it, because again, that's when you're going to have your purest scene. But it's not completely uncommon to have to go back and do these things.
Is it an issue when you go to court if it's been unsealed?
Oh, absolutely. It just creates all kinds of questions. You know, why didn't you do it in the first place? And a lot of times there are very reasonable answers as to why you didn't do it in the first place. But is it going to create reasonable doubt? Potentially. And there's always going to be that question. You got to remember, nobody's perfect. Investigators aren't perfect, and things, you know, get missed. And more information of those 18,000 tips, maybe one of them said something that nobody had talked about before. And like, oh, wow, I didn't even think about that. And they go back to the house and, you know, get that warrant again, because they are amending that warrant, I'm sure, because once we left, our ability to go in that house and search was done. You know, so we had to amend it, get a new search warrant to keep going back. And the same with the FBI. If they're working together, however they're doing that, there's a lot of back channel paperwork that's going on during this whole process.
Something else new we learned from neighbors is that the detectives have been asking them if they have any video from January 11th in the evening, which is a very specific, and they give specific time. I think it was 9 to 11 p.m. around there. And that's weeks before Nancy you know, went missing, before any of this even started. What do you think that could mean?
My guess would be that something happened in the neighborhood. Maybe a suspicious person was called in. Maybe a suspicious vehicle that nobody had seen before was called in. And they're just following up on any lead, any possibility. That person, that vehicle could have been nothing, but it could have been something. Even if the sheriff's department didn't have contact with it that night, because that's a common call. And if you get there and there's no criminal activity going on, you may not make contact. You may not even find it. But if someone called it in, it doesn't hurt to go back and see if there's some video, because then, again, you get that one little piece of information that you hadn't had in the first place, and you can start following up on that and just, you know, keep going, always trying to, you know, uncover as many rocks at this point as you can.
Now, again, I don't know who this guy is, so let me find out, because we skipped ahead a little bit.
In this case, by themselves, like for example, what the sheriff's office put in their latest press release, saying that with the ransom notes, that just goes to the FBI. But I just found it really, really telling that the sources that I've made said even investigators working the case don't know who's actually in charge. And one other thing that's interesting is there's this other Ring camera video that has now surfaced that we've confirmed. We sent it to the sheriff's office and they responded that they're looking into all videos. And this video is interesting because you see a person with a backpack. And some people have found similarities in the video to the person at Nancy Guthrie's door, although there's no confirmation of that. And that's one of the reasons that we're blurring the face, just because the police aren't saying that. But you see the person with the backpack, they go up to a gate, and it does look suspicious at the least. And again, we reached out to the sheriff's office asking if they are looking into this specific video. And this, I'm told, is from about anywhere from around 5 miles from Nancy Guthrie's house. and they just responded that they're looking into all videos. So it seems that they are looking into it. So I asked Bob Krieger about this, and I'm going to play for you now my full interview with him. He was a long time Pima County Sheriff's deputy, and he also was on the SWAT team for a long time. So I asked him about all the latest developments. This is my conversation with Bob.
He's a former Pima County Sheriff's deputy. This guy. Okay. Yeah, I know who Brian Enton is. Come on now, guys. Some of y'all are like, it's Brian. He works for News Nation. I know that, guys. I already know that. All right. I was curious about who the guy here is. Okay. So he is a former sheriff's deputy for Pima County. Okay. Just so you guys know. But I do think it's interesting that he did say, like, people don't know in the investigation, they're that confused about who's actually in charge with this whole situation. And that is not the greatest of looks. But real quick, before we continue, I'm just going to knock out some of these super chats here really quick. Okay. Claudia, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Don't worry. We ain't done yet. We got things we got to get into. Okay. We got things we have got to get into. So we got more, but real quick, criminals are probably locals. So new sheriff was going to mess up. Maybe reason why they didn't even hurry to leave the scene. They know his work ethics, in my opinion. Maybe, I don't know. Something about this whole situation just seems off. It smells funny, guys. It smells really funky. Parky, thank you so much. Statistically, it's someone she knows. I feel like it is somebody she knows. I truly do think it's somebody that she knows, but we'll see if we're right or wrong. Hopefully soon. Nicole B, what's up? Thank you so much for the love. Sheriff wants to crack the case all by himself. Yes, absolutely. Do they know that Nancy is missing? You see what I'm saying? Like, I feel like they're so busy with their own ego that they don't even think about, like, okay, this is a very big deal. There's an 84-year-old woman out there somewhere, alive or dead, doesn't matter. What matters is getting her home alive. But no matter what, you got a family that is wondering where the heck she went, and she didn't walk out of that place on her own. All right, Big Migs, what's up, man? Thank you so much. None of this makes sense. The criminals are a damn shadow, or were a damn shadow for nearly 2 weeks, and now all of a sudden they went from masterminds to Walmart crooks. Yeah, it's very weird, right? This has been a roller coaster ride for the last 12 days. 12 days. We're waltzing into the 13th day, guys. This is absolutely insane, for sure. Weeks teach. Welcome to the family. Thank you so much for becoming a member. Hey, Crystal had to drive me crazy by saying cactuses. How dare you, Crystal? Thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate it. And New Kids on the Block, Princess. Okay. That's what's up. I'm just wondering if people will start search parties. That's what I'm wondering too. But I don't think that law enforcement has actually gone to them and said, hey, we would love to open this up for everyone to come in and help us with the search. We talked about this last night. There is no way, if they're treating the FBI like this and they're butting heads like this, they're not going to turn to the public and ask for any help. They're not asking for any assistance. That's what's so sad about this situation. They don't give two damns. They don't. They care about looking good because they want to be the hero. Heroes know when to call for help. And that's not what they're doing right now, which is really sad. Charlene, thank you so much for the love. I appreciate it. Glove staged? Maybe. That's a good question too. Maybe that's why he wants to use the private DNA company. Maybe that's why all of a sudden they had the tent covering the door. I mean, there's many reasons for the covering of the door, right? Because, maybe they wanted to make it look like it was nighttime or something like that, which is really dumb. It's kind of weird because if you really think about it, if they wanted darkness, why would they use a white tent? Think about that for a second. If they wanted darkness to emulate, you know what I mean? To emulate the nighttime, why use a white tent then, baby? You'd use something to black out, like blackout cloths, that kind of thing, and make it darker. Not that. That's weird. All right. But yeah, maybe he's trying to cover something up. I don't know. It's just so strange, right? General Janobi, what's up? Thank you so much. For sure. That's not our man. No, it's not. No, it is not. Not Sheriff. He looking like a fool with his pants on the ground. Raven, thank you so much for the love. Maybe a distraction from E-Files' distrust of FBI. Maybe it is. Maybe that is what it is, because the FBI is all part of that Epstein file stuff too. That whole cover up is you can see from space. Okay, and I know somebody said in the chat, "Hey, isn't it interesting that no one's really talking about the Epstein files anymore?" No, we are. We're covering it. We're still talking about it. People are still talking about it like a mug. Okay, that hearing that just happened yesterday, if I'm correct, with Pam Bondi and Cash Patel was an absolute ish show, was a clown show. Okay, it was an absolute train wreck. And the fact that you saw in real time, I'm going to say it, okay? But the fact that you saw in real time, those two, one sucking up to Trump the entire time, which was wild. It was like they were reading from a script by rote. But also the way that they would react, especially Pam Bondi, when questions were asked directly to her about things in those Epstein files. It was absolutely insane. Yeah. Pam Bondi absolutely got destroyed. And she looked like a fool. All right, I'm going to say it. She looked like an absolute fool. She should be impeached. She should not have her job. And I don't think Cash Patel should have his job either. Any person that was trying to cover and protect the people, the disgusting individuals inside those files, should have been fired a long time ago. There are questions that were asked that you could tell she was struggling to find an answer to, and then she would resort to be like, "Oh, you're a washed up lawyer," or "You're an idiot," and she would just go the bully route. You see what I'm saying? So again, bad, very bad stuff. Very, very bad stuff. Very bad stuff. Okay? And the only reason why I'm reacting this way is I've already been reacting this way before the Epstein files were dropped, but real quick, okay? And then we're moving back into this real quick. If you saw even just one photo of the crimes that were committed on these littles, you'd feel exactly how I feel. You'd be looking at Pam Bondi and any other person that was protecting those files from being released and protecting those disgusting individuals that were involved in those crimes. And there's a lot of people that were involved in those crimes. A lot. Just saying, if you just saw one photo, you'd be singing a different tune, baby. Jason, welcome to the family. And Jenny, welcome to the family. Thank you so much for becoming a member. Thank you. Okay, like there's stuff that I've seen that I can't unsee anymore. Like I can't unsee that I wish I never saw, right? There's things that are being shared all over the internet, all over TikTok, Instagram, etc. You just can't miss it. It's disgusting, guys. It's absolutely disgusting, and it's real. Remember when Todd Blanche went, okay, the Deputy Attorney General, right? He made a statement saying that they're releasing 3.5 million files, right, in the Epstein files. And everyone was like, whoa, that's crazy. He said one thing that really drove me nuts. He said, oh, yeah, there are certain things that we can't give you. And he listed murder. He listed murder as one of them. Yeah. Why did he have to say that if there's no depiction of that in the files? It's because there is depiction of that they are trying to hide. Yeah, it's gross. Just saying that. Okay, we're going to move on. He did say that in that press conference. Go and check it out. Rewind it, play it 5 times. Make sure that's burned in your brain because there's depiction of that. They are in the files, but that's the other half of the files that they actually have. Yeah. They've redacted a lot of stuff too. That, of course, the House is trying to get it unredacted, but they're protecting people. Why? It's bad, guys. And you see it all on Pam Bondi's face. She looks like an absolute fool. Okay, now I'm done. I'm done. Just a gal. Thank you so much. What if they scattered gloves around as a diversion? That's a possibility. Remember, you got to remember, they found these things later, right? They found these items later in the house. They found it today in the house. This was not like 24, 48 hours into the investigation that they found the DNA and the gloves. They found the gloves and the DNA 12 whole days later, guys. So, yeah. All right. Crazy. Sloppy work. Or was it planted? Again, we don't know. Allie, thank you so much for the love. That's how they tracked the Boston Marathon brothers. Interesting. They traced the pressure cooker serial number back to the store and found out who bought it. I remember that. They did do the reverse math, and then they caught them that way. You're right. You're absolutely right. Excuse me. Charlene, thank you so much for being a member for the past 8 months. I appreciate it. Could be perfect storm. Sheriff, a mess, but also Cash and Trump will do anything to claim a win, distract from their national issue. Yeah, that is true. But it's sad because in a situation like this, I'd be like, well, the FBI has the resources to get the doggone job done. So why not just do it? Right? Let me just do that really quick. Weeks. The Santa mug. Honestly, it's because I forgot that it was there, and then it's just been there, and I'm like, okay, it's there. All right. Week is talking about the Santa mug that's right there. Okay, it's just sitting there, just chilling. I just keep forgetting that it's there, and then everyone's like, "Why is it there?" Well, it's just because I forgot it was there when I took down all the Christmas stuff. Okay, dang, and I just was like, "All right, it's there for now. It'll be moved. Okay, guys. All right. Let me get this one more, and we're gonna move on to Jesse Waters here. Vicky, thank you so much for the love. I appreciate it. Check AT&T's Fitbit, etc. Sleep monitor for awake and or / heart rate. Good point. We'll see. She had an Apple Watch. Maybe they've already done that, right? But you never know. The way that they've been moving out here in these streets, they might be thinking about that later, like a whole month later. They'll be like, what if we check her Apple Watch? You know what I mean? 30 days later. That's what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Real quick, Rachel, thank you so much for becoming a member. Thank you so much for the love. And just like everybody who's just become a member, please consider becoming a member. Okay. And I'll look at the other super chats here in just a little bit. But we got to get into what Jesse Water was talking about here. Let's take a look at this, shall we?
The backpack. This is the brand the suspect was wearing the night Nancy Guthrie was kidnapped. A black Ozark trail hiker backpack. The bag's for sale at Walmart, just $10.88. The FBI also releasing a physical description of the suspect. He's either 5'9" or 5'10", with an average build. A forensics team was all over Nancy's home today, developing these measurements. They erected a white forensic tent over the entryway. Using high-tech video technology, they were able to establish a physical profile of the suspect based on how his frame stacked up against the portico. The lead scientist who put it all together was the forensics guru who helped crack the Koberger case. And there's more. Retired FBI profiler Jim Clemente says there may have been a tattoo spotted on the doorbell footage. We're learning a lot more about this masked man, and tips are pouring in. TMZ released a new video showing a man with a similar backpack 5 miles away, about 20 minutes before the kidnapping. The FBI had been looking to speak to this person all day, and now NBC is reporting that the feds have just cleared him of any involvement in the case. We're also trying to figure out if any of these ransom letters are legit, because it's getting kind of weird. TMZ just received a new email from that guy who says he has information on the kidnapper. Listen.
He sent us this other email complaining that he is not being taken seriously. He says that he wants the Bitcoin, which is worth around $67,000, for several reasons. Number one, he says by coming forward, he will become a, as he puts it, a national rat. He also says, and this is a quote, he doesn't want to be, quote, incriminated like that guy Carlos. He makes it very clear here that this will be his second and last attempt.
Could be a hoax, could be legit. No clue. It's been almost 2 weeks, and investigators are reaching out to the locals for help. They're requesting that residents in a 2-mile radius from Nancy's house submit any and all video they might have. There are reports that a suspicious white van was in the neighborhood driving around the day before the kidnapping at around 10 a.m. And authorities are asking for locals to check their security cameras and submit any video from that morning. They're also requesting footage from January 11th, weeks before. They believe the kidnapper may have been casing the area for a while.
Fox News alert the desk.
The Pima County Sheriff put out a link to submit videos this afternoon, and it was a bad link. The link was down for almost an hour. So the sheriff's team, again, not off to a great start. More on that.
What? Oh, my God. Guys, you can't make this crap up. You understand? You can't make this crap up. You just can't. This is just.
Later. These tips and videos are what's keeping this investigation moving. You've got to maintain momentum in cases like this so the public stays engaged. Without fresh breaks, the case falls off the news cycle and people stop helping. This may be of some help. The FBI just bumped up the reward to $100,000 for any information leading to the return of Nancy. And for the first time, we're hearing from Savannah Guthrie's husband. He put out this statement. Someone out there may recognize this person. Please help us. Bring her home.
You know, I think it's interesting that he just finally spoke out. Like, I feel like he should have said something a long ass time ago personally, but you know, I mean, you know, this is just me watching from the nosebleed seats like everybody else. I just feel like, you know, dang, that would have been nice if he said that a few days ago. But am I right or am I right? Let's take a look at this one too, shall we?
Desperate search for Nancy Guthrie is in the 12th day, and investigators are still searching for exactly who this person is, captured on Nancy's doorbell camera. Now they are reportedly knocking on doors, asking neighbors what they drive, what kind of car, do you own a truck? They're also asking for doorbell footage. But we still don't know for sure if there was a getaway car. Logic says yes, but was it caught on camera anywhere? Between Nancy and Annie's home runs Oracle Road, and there are cameras. We know that because Fox News Digital spotted them along that road. But Arizona DOT says they don't record cars. Around Nancy's home, it's a mix of city, county, and state roads, and not all of them have recording cameras. It's pitch black at night. Pima County officials say even the cameras that do record aren't foolproof. Residential or business cameras could have captured activity, but that's up to them to share. Former NYPD inspector and Fox News contributor Paul Morrow is outside the sheriff's office. Paul, this search among the cameras for a car, I understand it's a bit of a needle in a haystack. What can you find? What can you eliminate in terms of neighbors' cars? Do you get the sense this is something that is going to yield fruit for law enforcement?
Well, it's very hard to say at this point, of course, but we do have a couple of things going for law enforcement here. First of all, you have a pretty good idea of the time of ingress. We have that approach that we've all seen in the video that was released previously of when he takes the Nest camera off the wall. Assuming that that's the initial approach, it gives you a pretty good metric to look at. There are only, according to what I understand, about 4 ingress and egress major roads that come in to the area, and then there's all the stuff that you just enumerated. I'll give you another metric in this thing, though. You know, Will, the cameras here are, if they are configured to capture cars moving and it is light enough to see them, or if there is a red light camera, you have to say to yourself, is it going to capture the plate? Now, if it's a red light camera, it's made to do that, so it'll get the back plate. But if it's a traffic camera, then you're only going to get probably the front plate, that is the car coming at you. Here's the rub. Arizona is a one-plate state. That is to say, only a rear plate is required. So that could take some of the cameras that are there for traffic purposes also off the table in terms of utility.
Yeah, and my understanding, Paul, on top of that is that even though a camera exists, the vast majority of them may not be recording. They may stream for, I guess, live traffic updates or whatever they need to get from those cameras, but they don't have a backlog of recording on the state-owned cameras unless they're part of the high traffic, high crime area flock system.
Yeah, and the other problem is, when do they overwrite? Even in New York City, which has money to spend on this stuff, the Lower Manhattan Initiative, which is there to throw a ring of steel around the financial district for counterterrorism purposes. I had more than one occasion where we went to retrieve imagery that we really thought would be there, and it turns out it had been overwritten weeks ago, because at the end of the day, you run into resource issues. This stuff can be expensive to store when you're talking about at the municipal level. So I think that, look, we have this new recent video that apparently came from the same night, roughly 19, 20 minutes before the camera work that we saw, the video that we saw initially released. That would potentially be inside the sort of ring that we're talking about. And in that case, you are down to something like neighborhood Nest cameras, or something where maybe another car is driving by that has a dash cam, something like that.
I'm hoping that, somebody out there has some sort, but that's the thing. See, this is the problem. If they could just give us, if they actually have a car, a vehicle of interest or vehicles of interest, if they could actually say, hey, here's the car. Have you seen this car? Maybe people who have dash cams. It's kind of like what happened with Gabby Petito, right? That whole case with Gabby Petito. May she rest in peace, by the way. But remember when they said, hey, this is the van. It was in these areas around this time. Anybody that has dash cam, anybody who may have seen it, please holler at us, right? And then there was a van lifer that was YouTubing or, video, taping some drive, and they caught the car on the side of the road. But here's the thing. That would not have been that would have not have happened if it wasn't for local and FBI being transparent with the public and saying, hey, we need some help. This is what the car looked like. If you've seen it anywhere, please let us know. Right? But they're not doing anything right now. Law enforcement has been extremely tight-lipped about this situation. And the thing is that there could be a gas station, a local store, somebody actually, just driving down the road and has a camera on their dash, like a dash cam type of thing, just streaming their drive. We could probably solve that situation if they just came out with one photo, just one, okay? Just one. That's all they need to do, but that's not what they're doing here. It's because we're dealing with a sheriff is he married? I'm just curious. Like, if you really this hard to handle, okay? You this hard to handle? You married? I don't know, man. I don't know. I just find this to be very sad and very frustrating. Okay? I don't know how anybody would. It's just not good. I'm just checking a few things here, guys. I got something that's a little bit of a left turn that I want to share with you guys. It'll just make you laugh. Especially with everything that's been going on. A lot of doom and gloom, guys. Let's take a look at this.
Top of mind is going to be the Nancy Guthrie investigation tonight. We are getting live vantage points from the ground and from the sky as Fox's drone team continues to monitor any and all movements that we've been tracking. Investigators continuing to work on the house. We did see earlier today that a white tent went up momentarily in front of the house. Not exactly sure what they were doing, but perhaps with time we will learn a little bit more about what exactly they've been doing. Some breaking news coming into the newsroom within the past half hour or so. Fox News Digital's Michael Ruiz with this, saying that there seems to be a little bit of a disconnect between the local authorities there in southern Arizona and some of the federal agents like the FBI that have been working on this investigation. Ruiz with this, saying Sheriff Nanos, he's with the Pima County Sheriff's Department, Nanos sent a glove recovered from inside the home to a private lab in Florida rather than the FBI's lab in Virginia, according to a source. The feds will likely need to retest themselves, wasting time, he says. Ruiz also sent something out earlier saying that a federal source confirmed to him that the Arizona sheriff has blocked the FBI from key evidence in the Guthrie case. So this is something that we're learning more about tonight. Perhaps we will get some official word from Pima County or from the FBI as the night progresses. We will let you know if we hear any official word from these agencies. Let's bring in former FBI agent Scott Duffy. He's here. And Scott, what I want to do today is just go over some of the breaking news of the day and also go over some of our questions that are coming in from audience members. Viewers have been watching Andy's broadcast. We've been showing viewer questions all evening. We're going to continue doing that for the rest of the evening. Before we get into the audience questions, though, I got to start with this reporting from Michael. It does seem that a glove that was recovered from inside the home, that itself is a piece of news, by the way, a glove recovered inside the home, it was sent to a private lab in Florida rather than the FBI's lab in Virginia. Can you speak to me a little bit about how federal officials and local officials typically work together on collecting and examining evidence?
Yeah, good evening, Austin, and thanks for having me on.
Of course.
So I can speak to the cooperation between federal, state, and local from my standpoint in my 22 years in the FBI in Delaware. We had a fantastic collaboration. Being on a task force, we had police officers from a multitude of police departments throughout the state, and we ensured, and that is federal, state, and local, that it needed to be a good working relationship. The movies, you see these typical rifts between the feds and the locals. I didn't experience that in Delaware because I believe that the relationships were important, but also being a small state, we realized, hey, we all needed each other. Now, that isn't to say that there aren't rifts and that there aren't problems in federal and state and local, I would say, partnered relationships or partnered investigations, such as you see here, where the FBI may or may not have been called in until a few days. So I don't, with regards to Phoenix and in this area, the Tucson area, I don't know the relationship. I don't know if everybody is playing well in the sand. I have dealt with my counterparts in Phoenix over the years, and I know I have dealt with both local police officers assigned to FBI task forces, as well as agents. And whatever we needed in Delaware, we got, with a tremendous amount of support. And I've seen that across the country in similar fashion. So I think generally speaking, there are good relationships because the FBI and of course other federal partners have done a really good job in developing those over the years, because everything ultimately comes down to solving a case. And resolving and solving cases sometimes requires additional resources that a smaller department may not have. But also on the federal nexus, if you have a federal case and you need to get something that's really in the weeds in a local community, only the local police department is going to have that. So it does require, and I would say when the FBI started these partnerships, these terrorism and these gangs or these any type, the cyber and the crimes against children, there's a multitude of these task forces that are federal, state, and local partners, and they've just done so well. And I would hope and imagine that even though we're hearing some things with these relationship issues, I hope they're blown out of proportion because we have all been looking from the outside in.
If it is blown out of proportion, I feel like I don't know. I just don't think that we would be hearing that kind of information from an FBI official. You see what I'm saying? I just don't see. I mean, I can see departments being petty with each other. I can see that actually happening, but I just don't know. I just don't know. You know what I mean? When it comes to that I just think that's. I find it weird that there's this pettiness that's going on. I don't know if that's a situation between like with the new heads of the FBI, and that's the vibe that they are now doing. I don't know. But one thing is for sure, that they need to figure out what's going on, and they need to nip that in the bud as soon as possible so that they could stop fighting and so that we can find out what's going on. But I will say this. You have local PD. They have, and like this gentleman just said, there are resources that they don't have that are beyond their grasp that another department has that can nip this in the bud very quickly and help and do it in a thorough way, right? That's all you need. Like, put your egos aside and that's the true sign of a good leader is when you're able to utilize and have people who have certain strengths do their thing. So if it's like, hey, FBI has a really great resource in Quantico, that the best of the best that can do what they need to do, instead of sending it out to Florida, send it there. That's the sign of good leadership. But you got somebody who is, I don't know, drunk with power or just too busy thinking like his name is all over this and he wants to come out on top like he's like this cowboy hero. This is sloppy work. And that's not the sign of a good leader, just in my personal opinion. And if these rumors are true, which I believe that these rumors are true, at the end of the day, if it means if his way of doing things is unorthodox, but it gets us Nancy as soon as possible, fine. Okay? People will throw things out the window. But if it ends up being day 15, day 20, day 30, and she hasn't been found, and they're still scratching their heads, and he's still being stubborn, he's going to have hell to pay for. He's going to have hell to answer to. Okay? And he's already having hell on his back, on his shoulders, and in his face right now. Real talk, because of the choices that he keeps making, right? It's just disgusting, guys. Sadie, thank you so much for the love. New video of man with 2 backpacks and similar clothing. Looks like he puts a mouth light in before looking over the fence and then takes it out when walking away. Maybe he did do that. But there's a lot of people that do that. That doesn't automatically mean that it is him because he's been cleared, right? But you never know. You never know. Wilder things have happened. Medusa, thank you so much for the super sticker. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Baby Gator, thank you so much. Sheriff wants to be able to say he solved the case and take all the credit. Absolutely. That's all he gives a damn about. It's not about her, really. It's about that, which is ridiculous. TSLA, thank you so much for the love. I wonder if this is an intentional form of terrorism because FBI can't figure out the origin of those messages. I know about VPN, but That's a good question. Don't know. Maybe this is a foreign entity. We don't know. They keep saying that this guy, whoever took her, lives in the area, in the Tucson area. But are we sure about that? That's just a theory. There was all kinds of crazy theories about Brian Kohberger in the Idaho 4 situation. Wild theories. There were wild theories about Gabby Petito. Okay, remember like the dude, Brian. Okay, jumped on a plane and flew out to Spain. Remember that there was a whole thing where, oh, look at he's kayaking in the middle of the ocean. There's a video of him, kayaking in the middle of the ocean. Blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Like there's just been so many theories that were debunked later on. So yeah, I'm sure there's still that possibly on the table. And I guess we'll see what happens and see if it's a foreign entity or not. Something smells fishy about this though, guys. Something's weird. Something's weird. And I truly think that how this sheriff is handling things, this should instantly be grounds for a demand for resignation. That's just what I think. No disrespect, Sheriff Nanos. I just think you could be doing a whole lot better with your time. And if you put your ego aside and checked yourself before you walked into some of these rooms. Real talk. That's just what I think. Somebody needs to humble that dude real quick, like fast. Okay, so we can get to the case and finding her, right? Moving on. Black Jack, thank you so much for the love. I appreciate it. Freedom of speech is all good here unless you type in all caps. How does that make sense? What is wrong with all caps? What harm does that cause? Okay, well, so shout out to my beautiful and amazing mods. One of the rules here is to not type in all caps. That is just a simple ask. That's just one thing that we ask on this platform, okay? You can say pretty much anything you want as long as you keep it respectful and you don't use a whole lot of curse words or whatnot, all right? But when it comes to caps, that is just something that was an agreement that to avoid caps, because caps get a little crazy out here, okay? And everyone will start typing in caps and it gets crazy in the chat. So that's why, okay? It's not a thing where it's like if you type in all caps, or it can ban the channel. No, okay? From my understanding, no. But at the same time, it is just a simple ask from my mods to the family chat, okay? Type all you want, all right? Stay respectful. Don't use slurs. Don't use foul language. And you good to go here, okay? So welcome to the chat, all right? But guys, I'm going to be wrapping up here in just a little bit, okay? But what say you guys, all right? What say you? What do you think, okay? What do you think about this whole situation? Do you think that this is, a whole lot of messiness? Do you think this is a clown show? Do you think the sheriff has something to do with her disappearance? What are your thoughts, okay? Let me know your thoughts. But tomorrow is going to be a big, big show. All right. We're going to have a good long show starting very early in the morning to get things popping. And we'll see how long we go. Tomorrow's a little busy as well, but I'm going to try my best to give you guys a good chunk of a show. Okay. We're going to do it. We're going to, try our best in the morning to give you guys a big chunk of a show and then maybe circle back to another show. Okay. To another show later on in the evening. Okay. But during the day, that's when everything starts to pop off. All this new information and all that. So when things start popping off, I'll be on live with you guys and then we will start rocking and rolling. Anyway, guys, that is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. If you can, please and thank you. Hit that like button down below. Crush it, do it, and do. Hit that reaction button. If you can, that'd be greatly, greatly appreciated. All right. Please do also hit that follow button. Hit that subscribe button here on my YouTube channel. Don't forget to do that. Okay. Shout out to my amazing mods for always holding it down. Forgot to say that. And all you new members, welcome to the family. So hit that like button down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. Set it to all so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, because it is random. But I'll be back on tomorrow morning, and we're going to be rocking and rolling tomorrow, okay? So make sure you have that notification bell set to all. Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon. And, of course, check out PascalMerch.com. PascalMerch.com. We got some really great stuff over there. PascalMerch.com. Okay, guys. It is time to get going. Much love to you guys. We will talk very soon. I appreciate all y'all. Have a great rest of your night. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.